Hello. This is Sir Wentworth Cornwallis the Third. And on today's Cabin Fever broadcast, we'll be finally getting to Cabin Fever Book Chat. And on today's book chat, we'll be discussing On Writing, a memoir of the craft by Sir Stephen King, which for what I've been told is quite a prolific writer here in the States. I don't read much. I'm not much of a book chatter, I'm more of a wine drinker and a conversationalist. And I do enjoy good Netflix. Bloodline. Oh, good Lord, Bloodline. It's so good. Oh, that Ben Mendelsohn, he's quite the actor, do you not agree? He's from Australia, a colony of the Briton. Yes, I'll get back to it. Well, back to the podcast. Please enjoy. This is Sir Wentworth Cornwallis III bidding all a farewell and happy day.
Today is June 11th, 2016, and we are back in the cabin.
Doesn't it feel good?
I got the fever.
Even though I've been here all day.
I
ran some errands, but I've been here cleaning, getting it all set
Did the
up.
atmosphere change when we got here? Did
It usually does when other people are around.
Sean has clothes on. It's weird.
Oddly, I'm usually wearing clothes. Like, I'm not a big naked guy. I know I
Not
say I am, but, nah, I'm not.
You gotta worry about your...
Yeah, I don't want anyone sneaking down and be like, what?
Like,
Through the old windows.
You wear, like, legit pants, though? Like jeans?
Yeah, sweatpants usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
get comfortable.
Yeah.
Very comfortable. Yeah.
I was like, but you're not
Yeah,
wearing,
gym
like,
shorts, sweatpants. Yeah, I'm not fully clothed. Jeans suck after a while.
Dude, they do. Their pants. All
Yeah.
pants suck after a while.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I need a stretchy waist.
That's the number one thing about The Walking Dead that I always think, because they're always wearing the same clothes. I'm like, they never get out of their fucking pants. And they can't. They want to survive.
That's so true. So true. You
But,
gotta be ready at any moment.
Yeah.
You can't be like, shit, I forgot my jeans back there. Damn it. And then you're walking around in your boxers until you find a cleanish pair of pants.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matt doesn't know. He doesn't watch.
I can assume.
Yeah, you've seen zombie movies. You get it.
I know what you're
Well,
talking
you don't,
about.
like, I feel like they've done such a good job. Like, sorry to exclude you in this conversation, but you should watch The Walking Dead.
You
because it's
really should.
amazing.
It's on
That's the
Netflix.
takeaway.
I'm pretty sure it's on it. You can just watch all the seasons.
Oh,
Or
it's the
go
best
online.
way. You can binge watch.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best.
Especially the first season. So
Good. Second
So
season's
trippy.
kind of slow. Third season's also awesome. We had this discussion before. It's not like all blood and gore and guts.
yeah.
It's a lot of like character
It's a lot of,
development
yeah,
and like
learning,
how
yeah.
they change as characters, which is I enjoy watching. But a lot of people are like, more zombies, more gore. So I enjoy it. But they portray the grime of the road so well. Like these people are not clean. Their hair is like so dirty. It's like standing up. Like
Wow.
like it's like. And they have dirt on their faces, and they do like the before and after whenever they get to places where they can shower or wash themselves.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's like Rick always gets a haircut, he gets his beard trimmed, because
Yep,
otherwise he's
yep.
like wild man.
Yeah.
And like Maggie gets her haircut all the time. She's the one who I always think about because she's always wearing like black jeans,
Yeah.
and they're always on her, and I'm just like, damn, that's got to be gross. Like,
Yeah, the smell.
She always looks good,
Well,
though.
that was something they commented on because they all grow dirty together, so they don't
Oh, yeah.
smell each other, but they'll like end up in a place where it's like that has running water that they've like built for themselves or something. And the number one thing that everyone always says is like, you guys need to take a shower
Right.
before we do anything because it smells so bad. They
Yeah.
always talk about that. They incorporate it's really well done, like the writing and everything. So I don't know why you don't watch it. You're obviously just wasting away.
I know. Look at me.
Jeez.
I've been watching Orange is the New Black.
That came out today, yeah?
No.
Are they on like their 4th season now or
Yeah,
something?
4th one comes out in like a week.
Okay.
Or like 5 days.
Okay.
But I'm on the 3rd season.
Yeah.
Catching up.
So good.
It's a good
Ruby
show.
Rose?
Super funny. Yeah, she just
She's
started.
in there. She's an interesting individual. I really admire her, actually.
I didn't know she was Australian.
She's Australian. She's gender fluid, which is like really fascinating.
Oh,
to
really?
me. Yeah.
Ginger food.
Rick and Maggie are both Australian or British, at least.
British.
Yeah. Which blows my mind, because Rick does such a great...
So is the guy
Southern
with
accent.
the
Oh, yeah.
staff.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? He was great. He was in... he's been in a couple of really good TV shows in the past, yeah. Jericho.
Oh, okay.
Remember Jericho?
I remember Jericho. I never
Yeah.
watched it, but I know
Yeah, it
what
was a
you're
good
talking
show. I
about.
recommend venturing back into it. Yeah.
I just got into Peaky Blinders, so
Ooh, so fucking good.
I'm like on the 2nd episode because it's so involved. Like I can't just like
yeah, there's a lot going on.
so many characters that are like introduced in the first episode. Even I'm like, who is that? I don't even know. And
Yeah, great accents. So I watched the 2nd season of Bloodline, and then I watched Peaky Blinders, the newest season, and it was just like putting me in a very weird place because there's just so much like deceit and lying, and just like it brought me down. So I'm like, I had to like just binge watch a bunch of comedies and just get my mind out of that weird
melancholy space.
state of you put yourself in when you watch these types of shows. It's crazy. 2nd season of Bloodline, by the way, is fucking... I wasn't even expecting it. It's so trippy and crazy.
Huh. Is Peaky Blinders a Netflix show?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
actually. Yeah, another Netflix one.
It's a BBC production that they produced with Netflix. It's actually I really enjoy it. Like BBC got a lot of accolades for Downton Abbey, and people were like, "Oh, what is this? What is the BBC now?" So they're like back to like British broadcasting.
And they do
But it's quality
Sherlock
television.
also.
It's like
BBC
really
does.
well done. It's 1918
Yeah, in that time
England.
frame.
They've all just come back
After
from
World
World War
War
One, and they like touch like the one I've only like I said I've only seen 2 episodes, and I'm like didn't even finish the 2nd episode because I had to go to do something today. But this morning I started watching the 2nd episode, and they use like hard rock like hard rock background music, and so it's like almost like steampunky, and then they touch on like war and shell shock and all this other stuff. It's actually really, really well done. Really fascinating.
What a trip.
Sam Neill's in it, which
Oh, cool.
I love. Sam Neill.
he's great.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of other things too.
Oh yeah.
Event Horizon he was in.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. And obscure, like he's besides Jurassic Park, he's like an obscure, like he'll pop up. He was in The Tudors. He was like in the very first season of The Tudors.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, Sam Neill!
Was it him that was the bad guy in the first Captain America movie? Or was that the guy from The Matrix?
The guy from The Matrix.
Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's an amazing actor, that guy.
Yeah, he's really good.
I don't know his name though.
He's in Lord of the Rings as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also V in V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
He wasn't initially cast in that role. Fun fact. It was somebody else. But
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing this, yeah.
yeah, the guy who they initially casted could not stand the mask. Could not be in the mask all that long.
What a pussy.
Yeah, so the guy came back on and he filmed all of those lines, and then he refilmed the lines that they did with him. Or he just did voiceover. So like in the first half of the movie, you're seeing like
so
a
it is
different
that
actor.
other actor.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And he just voiced over the lines to make it consistent.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I just saw that movie last year.
Such an
I've never
iconic
seen it.
movie.
For the first
So
time,
iconic. Yeah, for the
I
first
watch
time.
it every year on the 4th of November.
Oh,
Yes.
That's pretty good.
It's a day to
For like
remember.
a 11-year-old movie.
I love it
Yep.
because I feel like it's
Is
so
it Natalie
relevant.
Portman who's yeah, she's really good in it.
And it was like right after her whole thing with Star Wars. Everyone's like, she's a terrible actress.
Right.
Because she was so wooden in that, but she has
Yeah.
not good writing, not good directing.
Yeah.
So she came out on that, and everyone's like, whoa, who is that?
Well, she won an Oscar, right, for the Black
Swan.
Swan? Yeah, so she is a good actress.
She's a good actress.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would...
She's took her maybe some time to mature. She was young. That was her first real big acting role. You don't really think about it, but that was like her first
Yeah.
major role, and it's the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Huge. Well, she made a lot of connections.
Oh yeah.
I feel like anybody who was ever in that Star Wars movie should never downplay that, because you got to meet George Lucas and work with him, And he might not be the best writer, but he is a visionary, and he's made a lot of, like with Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is still producing movies, so keep things positive.
Yeah.
Make more connections.
Yeah.
Meet those Weinstein bros. Produce your films.
I know. How many brothers are there?
I went to Universal Studios.
Oh,
Harry Potter
yeah.
Land.
Hell
I
yeah.
saw Kevin Smith.
Oh, you
I
did?
saw
Yay.
Kevin Smith. I freaked out. I didn't mean like we
Did
didn't
you talk to him?
No, it wasn't like that. It was like I was on a studio tour. It was like I guess my first time going to Universal Studios, so I had never really done any of this stuff. So I'm like nerding out because I love movie trivia. I love film. I love all the hits. Like I love that, all the behind the scenes, all of it. So I'm there, and we're in the studio tour, and we're stopped, and out comes this golf cart, and on this golf cart is this guy, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh my god, and then, you know, you like turn around, and he's wearing his Smith jersey, you know, it says Smith on the back, so I'm like, holy shit, oh my god, and I'm like sitting up, and I'm really excited, my mom's like, what is it, Rachel, who was that? I'm like, it's the director, I can't remember his name, I'm so excited, his last name is Smith, and I don't even know, and I'm like sitting there, and finally the guy, because there were two guys behind me, and they were fans too, and the guy's just sitting there, and he's like Star Trek. You see his face, his eyes are big, his mouth, his like jaw is slack, and he's like Kevin Smith, and I was like, "That's it, Kevin Smith. That was Kevin Smith." And his girlfriend is like sitting there and going like, "Just cruising on a golf cart, just right there. We just saw Kevin Smith." So we're all like, all of us young kids are like, "Oh my god!" But like all like our studio director didn't know who the tour guide didn't know who Kevin Smith was. My mom, of course, doesn't know who Kevin Smith is. You know.
Huh.
So I'm sitting
Your
there.
mom's
I'm
never
like,
seen Tusk? Come on, or Clerks?
Oh, I still haven't seen Tusk. I forgot about that movie.
If you want, it's a trippy movie.
Yeah.
it's trippy.
Yeah.
It kind of plays on your
Have a couple of
psyche little
beers,
bit.
you and Kylan just chill, hang out, and watch Tusk. Hold hands.
I
It might get a little weird.
But definitely hold hands throughout the entire.
Is that a reference to the movie?
No,
Oh,
I don't know. It's just a weird movie.
It's
but
so
thing.
bizarre.
I know what it's about.
Interesting, though.
Yeah. I remember
It's
reading when
so
that whole thing
bizarre.
went down.
But Red State is really good too.
Oh, yeah, I was going to
Kevin
say Red
Smith-
State, too.
Oh.
Red State's really good. And then I like Dogma.
Oh, Dogma's great. I really
do
like Dogma.
not like Chasing Amy.
No, Chasing Amy?
Not a Chasing
Mallrats?
Amy. I like Mallrats.
I like
I found
Mallrats.
it hard to relate to because I was never a Mallrat myself.
Oh,
It was
right.
never something I did. I do know that was something that was like big in the early 90s for teenagers, but I wasn't a teenager in the early 90s.
And we grew up in
So-
Ramona. There was no mall.
Mall.
Like, if we were in a suburb right next to a mall, we probably would have all been there all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, to see that. But I like the characters. I mean, who doesn't like Jay? Like, Jay is amazing.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Jay and,
Yeah.
Jay and Silent
Silent
Bob.
Bob.
That's why I was, I'm like, do you guys know Kevin Smith? People don't know who he is. I'm like, you guys ever seen Jay and Silent Bob's Big Adventure? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Silent Bob was in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I forget that, but I feel like he's a super famous dude.
And his
And then
podcast is huge too.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never
really,
listened to
really
his
big.
podcast.
I've never listened to it either.
Yeah.
I've heard him on other people's podcasts that I listen to. I think he was on Joe Rogan's like way back in the day.
Yeah.
Really
Funny
good guy.
dude.
to
Well, he's on
listen to.
Comic Book Day now,
Fascinating
too.
dude.
And his daughter and, what's his name? Johnny Depp's daughter are going to do a spinoff on Clerks. Because
Oh.
they were in Tusk. They're the two,
Oh, really?
if you ever watch it, they're the two girls that...
The girlfriends?
The girls behind the counter. They're the clerks at the
Oh,
gas station.
yeah.
They go
I
in.
remember that from the
Yeah, they were
preview.
cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they give what's his name such a tough time.
Yeah.
About a podcast, right, or something. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're like, what's
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, and they
Yeah,
just-
because wasn't he trying to pick up on them?
They're-
Like, trying
yeah.
to throw out, like, hey, I'm a big-time podcaster.
or something. Yeah, you ever heard of it? Yeah, you should
Yeah.
listen to it sometime. And they're like, whatever.
Sean does that all the time.
Yeah, no one still have I gotten anywhere with Cabin Fever podcast.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just kidding.
I'm
do you
kidding
really
too.
do it?
I'm just rolling with it. What he's saying. Come on, yes
You
and
get
what?
with it.
Yes and what?
Yeah. She'd be like, yeah, this band's always rocking because of the bar guy. That's a real fever.
That was a weird movie, but yeah.
I was at Disneyland on Wednesday, and I saw Patton Oswalt.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, you've definitely seen him. He's a stand-up comedian, but he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's the voice of the rat in Ratatouille.
Oh,
Ratatouille.
Okay.
He was on King of Queens. He was on that show Community.
okay.
God, I feel like he's been in a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
He back in the day, not even back in the day, like 10 years ago, they had a show on Comedy Central called The Comedians of Comedy. And it was
right, yeah.
like Zach Galifianakis and Maria Bamford and Patton Oswalt.
Kind
I'm
of
just
like all
gonna IMDb it.
comedians.
Yeah. But anyway, we were getting on a ride, and I saw him getting off the ride, and I was like, oh shit, that's Patton Oswalt. Yeah. His stand-up is hilarious. And his wife just passed, which is super sad.
Yeah, I remember
Oh,
hearing
this
that.
guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's you know the guy on? I think it was show was Just Shoot Me. David Spade,
Brian Posehn.
Brian Posehn.
Yeah.
I saw him at Disneyland. Were you there when we were there? When I saw
Not when
him?
you saw him, no.
Oh, okay.
You
Must have
told me about
it.
that.
Yeah.
You told me you
I'm
saw
pretty
Peter Jackson, too, right?
Oh, yeah, I saw Peter Jackson at Six Flags.
Oh, Six
That
Flags,
was
okay.
badass. We
Cool.
actually got to get a picture with him and talk to him a little bit.
Mm.
Now, like, about directing or anything like that, but, you know, just saying, hey, what's up type of thing. And he was there with his kids. And it was his bodyguard that noticed, because I was the only one who recognized him. I'm like, holy shit, that's Peter Jackson. They're like, who? And I'm like, the director of Lord of the Rings. And they're like, oh.
And King Kong and
Well,
like,
I think this was before King Kong when we saw him. It was probably around the time when he was directing it, though, when we saw him. When did that come out? Like 2006 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw him in 2005, so he was probably in works of making it or whatever. Yeah, he was really nice. So the bodyguard noticed that I noticed him, and then he like waved me over and was like, "Hey, you want a picture?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, we do." So we got
That's
in a
cool.
big group, got a
Cool.
picture.
That is
with
really
him.
cool.
Yeah, it was so sweet. And this was like when he was huge. He was
Yeah.
really, really fat back then.
He's
Now
like super
lost-
skinny
Oh
now.
yeah, he's lost a bunch of weight.
Hollywood.
Yeah, he was really nice. Though. Really badass.
Hollywood.
Yeah, he's gone to Hollywood.
They'll take it out of you.
Yeah.
But shit, he just finished directing 3 years of epics, too.
Oh,
He's probably
right.
Macking down in the editing room every
Hell
day,
yeah.
Just sitting there,
Crazy.
Yeah.
200 hours for like an hour of footage. You're like,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
got to come together perfectly.
He's going crazy. Like, I want to feast a feast. Speaking the language.
In Elvish, he's like,
Yeah. Gather your bravest chefs.
Do you think Elvish has become a language kind of like Klingon has?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I would. When Lord of the Rings came out, I was in middle school, and the girl I was like really close with at the time, she started studying it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can buy a book
Mm-hmm.
and learn to speak it.
Yep.
Wow.
It's like with Game of Thrones, it's like Dothraki.
Yeah.
Or
That's what I was thinking.
or not Marinese or whatever, Valerian.
Valerian,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
They all speak Valerian, but you can that's actually a language that they went to a linguist for.
Really?
And so it's actually been developed into a legitimate language. Dothraki is pretty simple if you like research it. I wanted to look up how to say it is known, because that's a really widespread thing that it's Menemnessa, by the way. That's how you say it in Dothraki. It is known. Because that's something that they're like, Daenerys is always being told.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it is known. We're going to the hut of the brides. It is known. It's like all the time. So, but I researched it, and they're like, it's a really simple language. It's pretty redundant. And it's like a few simple phrases that can mean a lot of different things based on context.
It's kind of like Chinese. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just a little slight variation completely changes everything. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
I think Mandarin is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
But that's all.
Okay.
That's really all.
It's crazy that's like these made up fantasy worlds become reality. Like it bleeds into reality like
Yeah.
that. It's so fascinating. I love that people do stuff like that, even though it's so useless. Well, you can go to a convention and speak Elvish or Dothraki or Valerian or definitely Klingon. I know that's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Klingon has been around for a long, long time.
So fascinating. Fascinating.
I think my mom
Nerds.
actually learned something on.
Oh, yeah?
She's a huge Trekkie nerd.
Oh, that's right.
That's awesome. Old school trick, right?
I should have waved them away today.
Next time.
My mom would have thrown some trivia at you. You wouldn't even know.
They'd been like,
She would have been like this, and she would have been like, "Oh, are you Romulan or Vulcan?" And you'd been like, "What?"
Say neither.
Escape how you can.
a little German.
Yeah, right. A little German, a little Irish, a little bit of this, a little of that.
You know?
No Vulcan.
Cashier.
Yeah.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, 3 more episodes left.
Oh, this will break my heart. So
And
cool.
not this week's episode, but the next week's, the second to last, is called The Battle of the Bastards.
No way.
Yeah.
Ooh, I think we know what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah, we do.
I know.
Have you been keeping up?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. So
I was just like, wait, what? I have to like review the trivia. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that means
who
we got
is the bastard?
we got
So be
Bolton and Jon Snow going
Yeah,
head to head at
finally.
Winterfell.
finally.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the 2 last episodes too are extended. They're
I was just about to
60,
say they're going to be the
70 minutes.
longest finale episode that they've had.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then-
Like watching a movie, basically.
And then they said, and they didn't say if it was that battle, but all the signs point to that battle, but that they're going to have like the biggest, longest, like extended battle scene too.
So
the whole
excited.
series.
That'll be so cool.
Yeah,
So cool.
that yeah.
There's so much going on right now.
Do you
A
guys
lot
think-
of pieces are being moved.
Arya is dead.
No.
Is everyone caught up?
Yep.
No,
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
No.
She ain't dead.
She can't
She
die,
got
right?
fucked up, though.
Yeah,
Real bad.
right?
Real bad. She got shanked.
I read an interesting theory that said it wasn't her. That what's his name? The guy with the long hair. Her mentor.
Oh, Joran.
Joran.
Jaren.
Yeah, that he was posing as her.
But don't you have to die to have your
That's
face
what
on the wall?
that's what Kylan said too, and then I was like, fuck, I forgot that.
I think you do. That would
Yeah.
be really cool if that was a
Because
thing.
because of the way she went and was just like took the silver and bought her passage back home, all just like throwing her money around and then saying like, oh, we'll leave tomorrow, and then blah blah blah. Like,
How assured she was.
right? They're like, oh, is that even really her?
It's
then
kind of out
I-
of character for her.
Yeah, and then I forgot that you had to die first or whatever, and I was like, oh, could be because like he still owes her 1 life. Is it?
Does he still owe her life?
That's what it said in the article. It's like still
I think
owes
he
her
does
life.
owe her a life.
Yeah. So maybe he
So
was
would
like
it be
sacrificing
her
himself.
own life?
Yeah, so he would sacrifice himself.
Oh.
I also read another like theory that was kind of lame, but it was also that the girl that stabs her, Leaf or whatever, is not really a real person, but just a manifestation of Arya's.
That
It's
would
like
be.
a Tyler Durden kind of thing.
I don't think it
I
would
don't
be
like
that,
that
but
for Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
It
that-
doesn't
yeah.
quite fit.
I am curious who she really is, though. I would like to know if she's got some connection to
She has it
Anything.
out
history.
for Arya.
Oh yeah,
Like,
she really
hates
does not
Arya.
like her. Like
That always kind of bugged
like
me.
Arya is supposed to be coming in to like take her place
Right.
in the hierarchy of whatever's going on there.
Just
type of
a
thing.
younger girl coming in.
Right,
Kinda
trying to
thing.
take her place, almost like she's like the Cersei trying to knock the younger girl down type of thing. Because she could see so much potential in Arya. I mean, she did what she could when she was blind. Like that's got to be so difficult. Like if you really put yourself in her shoes, like
Yeah.
Arya went through some fucking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
She has.
So yeah, I'm real curious to see what happens to her. You know, someone's gonna rescue. Something's gonna happen. Someone's gonna help her.
Heard a theory. Well, because my theory is that every time a wolf dies, every time one of those
Stark.
will die. That correlates. Rickon's wolf died, and there hasn't been a wolf to correlate that. So
Well, maybe Rickon will be a sacrifice in the upcoming
I really
battle.
feel like Rickon's always been so like
the fuck cares? Even in the books,
Yeah.
he was like nothing.
yeah.
There was
It's
never
kind
a
of-
Rickon chapter. Maybe there was, maybe one, if that, but it was very short.
It's just really interesting. Like
Yeah.
the character, like why is he there? Is he there as a sacrifice, like
Yeah.
as a pawn for them?
Yeah, well, he's definitely there. It's
So
nothing.
I don't know, but I'm thinking like, what if Arya does die, but her face ends up on the wall, and then
Someone
she,
else.
yeah, like Joran or whatever, like takes up her mantle, like wears her face to go carry out her list, you know, to carry Cersei and all that. Although I feel like Arya's really moved beyond that list; she's no
Yeah.
longer there. And how cool was it that the Hound was still alive? Speaking
Yeah.
of,
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
ties
Well, in the
with
books,
Arya.
he never. It never went down like that in the books. So he was always. We were always in the back of our minds as book readers are like, are they really going to bring him back? But they've done it before. They kill the character off, and now he's gone. So.
Yeah.
But it is really cool to see him back and to kind of know where he's been,
Of
how
that
it happened.
repentant.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And then now he kind of at the end of that whole series of events, you picked up that action, you kind of know where it's going to go now, which is kind of cool to see him back in action. I was like, him and Arya was always like a cool dynamic to me.
Yeah,
like, I always
yeah.
enjoyed that storyline, to see them both kind of learning from each other. You kind of saw this sort of softer side of the Hound.
Yeah.
It was a bit of his redemption.
Yeah, and then it also made Arya tougher to be around him, and she got to learn a lot from him as well.
Yeah. I always love that scene where she's like doing her sword dancing or whatever, and he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Just
oh,
swats her
bullshit,
down
yeah.
like a fly.
Yeah. You're full of shit. Like, the guy you go up against is gonna have armor on. You're an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
love that scene. So.
Yeah, I don't think she's dead though.
I love Arya, and I like in my gut of guts, I'm like, she's not dead. She can't be dead. It's like
They're
Jon Snow. It's like Jon Snow. You can't die.
Right.
That was like a super exaggerated scene as far as like showing her getting stabbed, showing her coming out of the water, and then kind of like moving through the city. They're setting us up for something that we're not expecting.
And I thought she got her throat slit, but I don't think she did.
She was about to, and then she
looked
like
it,
she blocked it because she came in and she was like, oh, somebody's like Lord of Death or something like that, and she was coming in, and then Arya blocked it and spun off the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Really lithe-like after getting stabbed. I was like, damn, she's
Want another beer, Matt? I'm gonna get myself one.
Okay.
What you want? Same thing?
I'll have one of those even keels.
All right, perfect.
Cool. Yeah. So, I think that Ramsay's death is imminent.
It has to be such a
Just like Joffrey, you know?
I hope it's like worse than Joffrey's though.
I think it definitely will be.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy about what happened with Sansa. Like that she finally is showing like a little bit of spine. It's coming through.
So.
Like really diplomatic.
Oh, speaking of that, who do you think she was writing to?
Blackfish.
You think she was writing Blackfish?
I think she was writing to her uncle, her great uncle.
I don't think so. My theory is that she was writing to Littlefinger.
You think? Because I feel like she's like completely done with him for leaving her.
I think she's kind of in desperation mode.
Well, that, and the only thing that makes me think that is that in the prior episode, or no, maybe two before that, when she has her dealings with Littlefinger or whatever, and then later on when she meets Jon Snow, she leaves that whole part out. Because she knows about Blackfish from him, but leaves that whole part out. And even Brienne questions her on it.
Oh, that's right.
She says, why did you not tell him about Littlefinger? Mm-hmm. So she's kind of like weirdly like covering for him, that at least just not being up front. It just makes me think, it makes me hopefully think that she's going to pull him in somehow and use him kind of the way he's always used her.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
If she can get him to use the Knights of the Vale
Exactly.
to come to
We've never
Jon
seen these
Snow's
guys
aid.
because they haven't been involved in anything. So I'm curious to see how
Yeah, but they're
badass
legendary.
these guys are. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
They're supposed to be these amazing warriors.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to use appeal to
Right.
Littlefinger's whatever perversions.
Yeah, because Jon and Sansa, they know Winterfell the best, so they would know its defenses, where you can get in, where you can get out, that type of thing. But you also need a really good army, and the army that they currently have, I mean, they don't have that many men that are actual knights.
Right.
They do have some, but very little, and then it's mostly wildlings, but the wildlings aren't necessarily trained warriors. They're just bodies. They can fight. They can swing a hammer, a sword, or whatever they
Right.
got, an axe. And they don't have that many people that you would really need to storm a place like Winterfell. So to
Right.
get the Vale, that would be
Huge.
perfect. And I don't think they're that far away to where they need to get to Winterfell. So
And then
it could
Brienne's
work
going
out.
to the Blackfish.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. Yeah, that's right.
They're in the preview for tomorrow night's episode. It's her talking to Jamie.
Oh,
There's a scene of her talking to Jamie about like, if you fight him, you're fighting me,
Right.
Right.
and you made an oath
right.
to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a whole other thing. Now that Jamie showed up and kind of took over the whole siege against the Blackfish, and And is it River Run? Is that where the castle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Trying
one?
to take that.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
just-
awesome. It looked beautiful. I'm like, I wouldn't mind growing up
Yeah,
there, living there.
right.
That's, out of any other
And
of the
he's
castles.
such a badass. The
Oh,
Blackfish.
he's
Yeah.
like,
I was
fuck
born
it,
here.
kill him, slit Ed Mears' throat. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
that
not
guy's
getting in
an
here.
idiot, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I've got 2 years of rations. Starve me out. I dare ya.
Yeah.
But you're fucked, Jamie.
Yeah.
I love that. So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
His meeting, and then I was disappointed. I was like, oh, the burn.
Yeah.
Feels terrible.
Like me as a book reader, like I can't wait to read the new book now because there's going to be so much more depth to all these scenes, and it might be even completely different how
Yeah.
it goes down. So I'm still curious to even as a book reader, kind of knowing it's going to be going in some
Yeah.
of those directions. So I'm
But
so
there's more to
so
it.
much looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, that's what part of the reason with like the TV Wise and the other producer.
hmm
They always talk about that. We're like, we want the book readers to be engaged in our show as much as they are in the books. We have to change some things and keep some things new.
Yeah, and I do like that. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
I haven't read the books. I'm waiting for the series to end.
Yeah.
I've got like 2 more years, and then I'm going to read, and hopefully by then the books
Mm-hmm.
will be done too, so then I can just like boom through the books.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see. He's
Yeah.
a very, well,
Hey,
obviously,
I enjoy it. Hey,
Yeah.
just keep writing. Whatever you got to do, whatever it takes, get it done.
there's so much involved in his story, so
Yeah.
he's definitely got a lot going on, and I think that's why it takes so long.
Yeah.
You know,
I
but
appreciate
I'm
that.
okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Why would you want him to rush the book and not?
Because he's
get
old
everything
and he
right
might
through?
die.
That's true. That's true. But then I guess that'll be it. We'll just have to know what happens on this TV show.
Then it just gets super lame, like Lost.
Oh
And then I
right,
know what
Ryan
to
just
do.
peters off and this might work. Yeah, this is what happens.
I think the last episode was called something of winter. I don't know. I think it has to do with going back to Bran and what he's going
Oh,
through. That's what
okay.
it made it sound like. But in a 70-minute episode, I think it's just gonna cap off all the storylines. I feel like.
Or we'll
Yeah.
leave enough cliffhanger where we're just like, it is the craziest thing to me how many people, we have 10 episodes a year,
Yeah.
and how tuned in we are as like a community to
Yeah.
those 10 episodes
Yeah.
a year. It's so interesting. Everyone's like, it's April. I don't want to do it on Sunday night. See you later. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
don't talk to me until you've seen it. But it is so weird. It's 10 episodes. It's the month
Yeah.
of April, and just how involved, like, the United States, well, the world,
Yeah.
Yeah.
parts of the world are in this show.
It's smart. It's cool in this day and age of like instant access that everyone's rallying behind like one show. Because if you think about it, like back in the day, there was like 4 channels,
Right.
so everyone was always talking about MASH, or
Yeah.
whatever, because everyone was watching it at the same exact time.
Johnny
Yeah.
Carson?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's cool now because like if like me, who had never watched it, could catch up to the whole thing in a few months,
Yeah.
And now, like, I'm in that place, too, where I'm like, oh, yeah, Sunday? Oh, that's right.
Sunday night, I got something to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually, I have plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, for real.
I got HBO, and it's available at 6 p.m. on the West Coast, so I'll see you later.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It's awesome. I am in awe about how many people like it and how relevant it is in today's society. You can look at it, it's like, you know nothing, and everybody knows what you're talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
So,
Yeah. They've just done a really good job, too. Like, great storytelling, and it's HBO, so they can show, like, anything they want, but I don't feel like it's all, like, gore, sex, like, nudity, you know what I mean? It's all just kind of, it's all there.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. It's not the main focus or anything.
my parents made a comment, we drove up to Universal Studios, we spent some time together, so they made a comment about how they were surprised about the fact that, what's his name? Iron Islands,
Theon?
Theon's sister,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
I
that she was
forget her name.
gay.
Oh, yeah.
They said something like how that was so, that kind of threw them off, and I was like, it didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
it's
more testosterone. She's a fighter,
She's,
Yeah.
she's
a
leading.
leader.
She's been leading these groups of men her entire life.
Yeah.
How better to relate to them to be interested in women the same way that they're interested in women?
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
was so interesting. Like, it didn't surprise me at all, but that was like a magnifying glass on the generational gap.
Right.
For me,
Oh,
Exactly.
you know, because
Yeah.
like for me, I just was like, well, that totally fits. Like, I wouldn't have cared either way. Like, I'm like, either it did, like, of course I thought about it. I'm like, is she getting it on with all of her deckhands? And like, just like uses sex as a release the same way that some men do, you know, like maybe they're out at sea for a long time and whatever, they get lonely, things happen, who knows, you know, there's no romance. She's not a romantic woman,
Right.
you know, she's very much like duty bound, honor bound, like all about victory and honor and stuff like that for the Iron Islands honor, things like that. But I just like, didn't surprise me at all that she would be in a brothel hitting on women. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Did not throw me for a loop at all. I was just like, okay, like that's actually, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think I had that thought too. Just when I saw her, and I was just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This one makes
Yeah,
sense.
okay, that totally makes sense. It was just odd to me that my parents made a point to point that out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird that she was gay. I'm like, well, what else would she be? Like,
Yeah.
it just didn't fit.
It is so weird, that divide.
Yeah,
You know?
it really
It's so
is.
weird when my mom talks about it too, because she'll make a point to point something out like that. Oh, they're like lesbians or something.
Yeah,
but
they're gay.
which
or-
is funny too, because like
lesbians.
my mom has had lesbian friends and acquaintances like my whole life. Like I remember, you know, I remember talking about her friends who were like lesbians and stuff like that. You know, and
So yeah, it's not like a new concept, you know.
no, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any, like, I don't know what we call it, like homophobia or anything there. Like that's definitely not it. But there's still, I think, ingrained, even as accepting that culture that they grew up in. There's still that little like you have to like identify it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
well, that's what they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you have to put them in a category.
exactly.
They're not just people who crave romantic relationships with other people like the rest of us. They're like, no, that they're different.
Right.
They're different.
Just like the Jews that live 3 doors down or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Well, you think about it, like, in our lifetime, the first lesbian kiss was televised on TV. You know, and it was some, like, weird taboo.
Well, that was the Ellen kiss, right? Ellen DeGeneres.
I don't know if it was on. No, it was like literally a sitcom. It was like One Tree Hill, I think. Actually,
really?
They had
No,
two,
it was
they
way
had-
before that. Ellen. I'm pretty sure it was Ellen.
Okay,
Like it was like the '90s. Wasn't One Tree Hill like in the
yeah,
mid 2000s?
but I thought Ellen DeGeneres, did she have her own TV show?
Oh yeah, back
Yeah,
in the day,
her
it was
own
sitcom.
sitcom.
Yeah,
Oh, she did. Okay.
and she came out.
She
on the
came
show.
out on the show. That was a
Okay.
huge,
Mhm.
yeah. I don't know if it was.
I don't know if it was
his.
the first one. That's just the one that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
It was like, no, it was like iconic.
It was
Yeah.
like a big deal.
Yeah,
Well, it was,
especially
yeah,
the media was
It was
all
a
talking
primetime
about it.
sitcom.
Prime time, real popular.
yeah,
Yeah.
and her character
Was straight,
straight.
and then
then
Came
came
out.
out, and then it was like came out that she's like, oh no, she really is gay, like in real life,
Oh.
and she was like hugely popular.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed that.
and there's a famous magazine cover, and I don't know what magazine, but it's just Ellen, and it's like a little bubble says, "Yep, I'm gay," like that. But it was very poignant at the time, like.
probably Rolling
Yep.
Stone or one of those.
Yeah, it was a bit. Yeah, I forget which one, but shit, we were talking about right before that. Oh, my cousin came out last year.
Oh,
My younger cousin, and it was one of those things. She's 10 years younger than me, and she's always been like a little sister to us all because we just grew up with her and stuff.
right.
And she came out and like on Instagram or something, like this is me. She had a boyfriend, a longtime boyfriend for a while, and then came out, and then it was one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you are gay. Like I never even like thought about it, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess the signs were there or whatever, but I just never thought about it. And for my mom and like her sister, like my cousin's mom and stuff like that, it's, I don't know, it's like they just have to identify it, but like they've never said anything to the contrary of it or like uncomfortable with it. As far as I can tell, like her mom, my aunt, said, oh, I think she's just going through a phase, but I think she just didn't really know how to
Cope with it,
or
like look at
exactly,
it.
like she just didn't understand.
How
what was
old
going
is
on.
she now?
She's 21.
Oh yeah, she's
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 21
uh,
now.
Yeah.
it's not a little bit beyond experimenting there.
Weird to think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And who knows, but I don't know. She has a girlfriend. They've been dating a year, and they seem like really happy. And
Good.
I like hanging out with them. Like, they're fun, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just good people.
Mm.
It's interesting to think about, if you can think about humanity in terms of just people instead of, like, male, female, straight, gay, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You just start to, okay, they're just another person. It, like, kind of opened, I don't know, for me, it has opened my eyes to just being a little bit more accepting. Just like, okay, it's just another person. They're just a different point. Like, if I see, like, a homeless person that I might have been scared of in the past or something, because I'm a sheltered white girl from Ramona. We're extremely whitewashed up there. So, you know, if I see, like, today I was driving out and there was a black gentleman by the dumpster smoking a cigarette, and I've seen him around.
A marijuana cigarette?
Not that I know of, but that would have actually made me more comfortable.
Right. Just chilling, getting high by the dumpster. Don't
He's
know why
cool.
by the dumpster, but he's
It masks the
chilling.
smell, probably,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
guess,
the smell of weed is like with garbage, whatever.
Oh.
But,
I never associate the two, but
no, that it covers
I get
one.
what you're saying.
Okay,
though.
I don't tie them together.
You're offending me as a pothead right now. Because as a
I like
marijuana smoker, you're offending me.
I like the smell of weed. I think it smells so good, but I just not garbage. You know?
Yeah, light it up, Sean.
Where's our
You
hookah,
don't ask
by
me
the way?
twice.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that. I should have set it up.
Slack it.
I
this
Still
guy.
can. Be
Slack in
positive.
this
I
guy.
will.
Well, we should wrap up this talk and then get into
And then
the,
we'll get into
the
Steven.
chat.
Okay. Well, I don't know what
Say
else
what
to
you're
say.
going to say.
I don't remember what you were talking about.
Oh, the fact that, okay,
Oh, yeah, black
I saw him,
dude,
but I made
yeah.
an effort to, like, smile at him and wave, and he kind of,
Yeah.
like, looked at me all scared because I was in my
It's like,
car, you know? He was like,
Girl, hand on me?
"What? What's going on?" And I was like,
Is this
"Okay,
your
see you later."
dumpster?
Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Not ever. No,
yeah.
sorry.
Well, we had there's the Greek Orthodox, there's the Greek festival happening right next door to us right now, so there's a lot of people. And I think he's just, like, a little bit overwhelmed or something. I've seen him around. I know that he's, like, he lives around there somewhere, so.
Is he a homeless guy? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who live, like, low rent in the hotel next door to us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
low budget, low rent home that they've been there for years, and they don't. It's like a month. They have a day, a week, or a month, and there's people who've
Yeah.
been month to month in that place for years.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
So he might be one of those tenants. You know,
Yeah.
the scariest thing that's happened to me so far is there was actually like a hospital bracelet on our patio behind one of our chairs the other day, and it's not like. We haven't had a lot of windy days.
Psych ward? Hopefully.
It just had the name
Yeah.
on there and the date and like where they were admitted. And I just was like, somebody had to put that there, though.
Right, yeah.
So I'm like, people are chilling on our porch. That's kind of
Right.
spooky, but you know, I don't know about it. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to install a camera up there as long as I don't try to break into my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We good.
He's like, hey there, Toyota girl.
Hey, hey you.
Here's a
Call
little
me.
trinket.
Well, before we head into the next section, you didn't really get into Harry Potter land. You just got into Kevin Smith. So
Oh my god, it was
what was it
so
like?
great.
Did you get your wand? Why
I got
didn't you
my
bring
wand.
it? Why didn't you bring your goddamn wand?
Yeah. Sean and I brought our wands.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Where are
They're
they?
magical.
Zip.
You guys carry those around with you all the time.
You're
That's
goddamn
not
right.
fair. That's not fair.
No, so what'd you get? What was your wand? What was
My
it made
wand
of?
was a holly wand.
Okay.
And I have a picture of it.
Oh,
I
that's
don't have a
good.
picture of the wand. I have a picture because there's like, you go into the descriptions. I missed that.
I was just saying the picture's not as good as
Yeah.
the real thing.
No, it's not. But it was a really awesome experience. I definitely. Okay, so the first night we got there, we drove up there, spent the night, went the next day, and we went into this like little tourist trap shop that they have, Universal Studio shop, and they have a framed photo of the letter that Harry gets that says he's a wizard, and so like on the front it says like Hogwarts, and it says the envelope, and then below that it has like the emblem and the writing and everything. I saw that and I pointed at it, told my mom, and I started to cry
Aww.
because I was like, the nostalgia was just like so powerful in that moment. I was like, oh my god, it's a letter.
Yeah.
So that happened that night, and then my mom and dad had splurged on these tickets, so we got early admittance and front of the line tickets.
cool.
So we were there in an hour early, and we got front of the line. So it means that you can basically cut everybody one time for each attraction. But we got
cool.
in early, and the only thing that was really open was Harry Potter Land. That's where
Oh,
they
nice.
like direct you right away when the park opens. So of course I'm in there. You walk in, the first thing you see is Hogwarts Express coming through the train station. So of course I start to cry immediately on that too. And they've done such an amazing job with it. Like the streets are cobbled, these buildings are tall and leaning like they are in the movie, and they're full of books. Like the windows are full of books and lacy curtains and like the old school stuff, and they have all the shops that they had. And it was just a really awesome I was just like a little kid in a candy store, but I was an adult woman in Hogwarts. Hogwarts land, Harry Potter land. They could definitely expand it. Like there's so much you could do with that. It's Hogsmeade is the way they play it off, but it's Hogsmeade meets not Diagon Alley, but the other one, where they go shopping.
I thought that was...
Isn't that Diagon Alley?
Is it Diagon?
Yeah.
What's the bad alley?
Oh, when it comes out of
The flu.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was all like Diagon Alley.
No, there was
there's
a name.
like another
There was a
little-
name for it.
Yeah.
I forget.
And it's sort of the D2, so I was always hesitant to call it Diagon Alley, but it's those two things, and then it's those two things combined. So the first thing we did is we went on Harry Potter's Forbidden Journey, and I don't know if you guys have been to Universal Studios, but most of them are these like mass people rides. So there's like 4 people sitting in a car basically, and they're on the belts like they are at the Haunted Hope Mansion at Disneyland, and they move you around on these belts, like Peter Pan or something like that. They put you in there, and you're like moving through, and it's a mix of 3D and puppets, which is really cool in my opinion. So you kind of go through this whole thing, and you see Hermione and Ron and Harry, and you get to like hang out with Harry not hang out, you get to fly with him. The idea is that you're on a broom, and you're flying through Hogwarts Castle. And there's like a dragon, and there's a Quidditch field, and you're chasing a snitch, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. So we wrote that one the first time. So fun. It was like super jazzed and pumped for life after that. And then after that, we went into Ollivander's wand shop, and they have a tour, and they let you into a room, and it's like all these books everywhere, and wands and everything, and you're in there and you're hanging out, and then they open up a secret passageway, and you get into this little room. There's a wand maker there, and they select somebody from the crowd, pull you up, and they go through a wand fitting process where they like, okay, here's a wand for you, this might be your wand, and they, and 5/8 of an inch, and like everything, and has a hair of a phoenix in it and everything like that, and they give it to you, or they give it to the person they've chosen. It wasn't, they don't go through everybody. They choose like one kid and the kid they picked.
I just
for
see
my
you like
group.
pushing the kid out of the way, like,
"Rah!"
hey, thank you.
Yeah, no. The kid they chose it was a perfect thing. It was fun to see that experience for him, because you knew that he was probably about 11. So it's
Perfect
like he's
age.
getting his,
Yeah.
he's getting his Hogwarts letter. He liked his mom is there, and they ask him a series of questions to like creatively figure out like, oh, so what do you like to do in your free time? Like, do you like to explore, or do you like to draw? Things like that.
Like to kill small animals. Slytherin. Go Slytherin. Thank you, little boy.
We don't have
Get 'em
wands
out
for
of
your type here, so
We're not allowed
go.
to give you people wands anymore.
And so they get, but the little boy that they picked, his eyes were so big. He was like shaking with excitement. He was so excited. And they have it all set up where, like, I want you to say this, and it's like Alohomora, and you open up a drawer, but all the drawers go crazy. And they have it, like,
Well, you gotta get
perfectly
used to your
timed.
magic.
And they're like, okay, that isn't your wand, and they give you another one, and they try to, like, get you to ring a bell, and all the bells ring. Okay, that isn't your wand. Okay, I think this is your wand, and the light comes on, and the music changes, and you feel like you're in the movie, and you get to, this kid, and you're just, like, looking around, he's like, oh! Like, it was so cool. And then they open it up into Ollivander's wand shop, and they have more wands for you to pick from. And they have attendants that are in there, like, asking you, like, hey, asking you all these questions, like, are you going to, like, what do you like to do? Are you like to hang out with a lot of people, or do you unwind by yourself? Do you think of yourself as brave or not so brave? Do you think of yourself as, are you a leader, or are you more of a follower? Things like that. And then based on your personality type, they will fit you with a wand.
Wow.
And they
That's
put you
cool.
with the wand. It was really cool.
That's
So,
cool.
I mean, granted, there's like, I saw other people with my same wand that they've
Yeah.
made. But it was still just a really awesome experience. And then the way that they have it, it's, of course it's magic, but beyond magic, it's actually the same technology as the Kinect.
Oh, okay.
So it's sensors versus sensors. So they have these things like set up throughout the Hogsworth land where you can stand and you do certain motions with your wand, and it makes things happen in these shop windows, which is really cool.
Yeah, especially for your kid.
Oh, and that was the best part, honestly. Like, my mom and I, we got our wands and we had our wands out and we did everything. We did every single one, and we did them all
At
twice.
31, I would be fucking so sad.
I was,
This is sweet.
it was so fun. But of course, you know, you get some like little 6-year-old with their wand who comes up, you're going to be like, go ahead. And you watch them do it, and then everyone was, you know, we got in early, so we were there a little bit early, but we would always clap for the kid, like, oh my gosh, you're a natural, look at you, like, when are you going to Hogwarts, you know, like, asking all those questions, and of course the kids were, like, getting all red and embarrassed, you know, but we're just living in the fact that in this fantasy, and just embracing it, and it was so fun, because it was kids, adults, everyone was just, like, embracing it.
Yeah.
I had butterbeer, I ate at the 3 broomsticks, it was awesome. It was
butterbeer.
Butterbeer was so good, it's like butterscotch.
Oh, okay.
Alcoholic or no?
Non-alcoholic.
No? Okay.
They do serve alcohol at Universal Studios, though.
Yeah. It's different.
Yeah. Not like Disneyland.
Were your
Disneyland.
parents, like, pretty up to date on Harry Potter?
My dad owns the whole video set, and they watch it, like, almost every weekend.
Oh, really?
Or they used to.
Okay.
Whenever it was on ABC, this is how it started. Whenever it was on ABC, the family channel, ABC Family, my dad would watch it with commercials. He'd be like, oh, okay, this is
That's torture.
we're watching this.
That's a
and then
psychopath.
so for Christmas, I got him the 8-disc collection. And now they have the 8-disc collection, and they love it. And they watch it. So, my mom's a teacher. She's an elementary school kid, so she knows about Harry Potter.
Right.
But my dad is the one who actually, like, really loves Harry Potter
That's
out
awesome.
of the two. And I love Harry Potter because it was just, it came out, it, like, corresponded perfectly with my when I was 13, the 3rd book came out. When I was 14, the 4th book came out. Like, all of that stuff happened for me. And, of course, I didn't wait in line for the book. But my mom did. For
That's
me. So, sure, she, like, put an order in and had it shipped to our house kind of thing. So, 7th and 8th book, and I don't know, you know, you go through that weird stage of adolescence where you don't want to be perceived as cool by other people, so you don't admit to how nerdy you actually are, like your interests, like what your real interests are.
Yeah.
I'm definitely beyond that and have been beyond that since I was like 24.
Yeah, you should
And so
be.
now I'm just like
Embrace the nerd.
Yeah, totally into it. And I'm wearing a Deathly Hallows t-shirt, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, and I bought the tales, the wizard tales that they have available.
That's like another book, right? Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and
short
it's-
stories?
Well,
Or what is it?
it's the tale of Deathly Hallows. The 3
Oh,
brothers.
okay.
It's
Oh.
one of those stories, and they have all
awesome.
these. So it's all these like, it's these little fables that wizarding children
Mm-hmm.
had been read. Like they've had these stories read to them growing up.
Right.
You know, but the one I got, it has like, and the way the book is written, it's supposed to be a book of it's like Dumbledore's book, and so it has all his notes in it, and he talks about like how it's really weird to have like a squid, I think is what they call him. It's like Hagrid, where it's 2 witching families or 2 wizards or witches, and then they have wizard witch, and they have a child. It's really rare for that child not to have magical talent.
Right. Yeah.
It's more common for Muggle parents to have a wizard child, and that's like Hermione.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
she's a mudblood. She's spontaneously given this gift somewhere. So, I don't know. It was just really fascinating. Loved it. I loved every minute. We went there. It started to get crowded, so we left. We went to the lower lot. We rode Jurassic Park. We rode the Mummy. And we rode Transformers.
All badass rides, by the way.
So great. I, of
Especially
course,
Jurassic Park,
freaked
it's really
out
bad.
when I was on Jurassic Park ride. You know, there's like a little Barbasol can at the end of the ride.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
like, hey, look at that! You
Yeah,
know, it's like
that's
so
neat.
fun.
Yeah.
And then I had never been on it before, so I totally nerded out when like the huge T-Rex head comes out and you like drop down the waterfall. I, of course, was just like in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god, this is so great! You know, I went every day, it was so wonderful. But My parents did a lot to make that a very special experience too.
That's awesome.
So
was it just something fun to do, or was there a special event involved,
It was
like birthday or something?
Yeah,
like that?
it was my mom and it was
Anniversary
mine
thing?
and my dad's birthday gift.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
also like Mother's Day, Father's Day. You know,
Just a nice,
it
fun
was just
combo.
we had
Yeah.
as a family we hadn't traveled and done something like that
Mhm.
in a really long time, and so we did that together.
So awesome.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go really bad. I want to go to the one in Disney World. I feel like that one's probably
In Florida,
huge.
I would. Yeah,
I think they might even be still building it.
expanding it.
Expanding
There's such
it.
a big world in
Yeah.
Harry Potter that you can get into. So I don't know. It was amazing. I would I don't know how much tickets are to get in. I didn't ask, but if just go for Harry Potter.
Oh,
Land.
yeah. Hell yeah.
It's so great. Just even so you know how you have to wait in line for things a lot of times. This was a line you go into Hogwarts Castle, and part of it is all the portraits are moving and they're talking, they're having conversations, and you go into Dumbledore's study, and there's all this interactive stuff going on.
That's so
it was almost like I
cool.
didn't want to jump through it because I was
Just
there's
hang out
so
and
much
enjoy
going
it.
on. I need to embrace
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
There's so many things I'm not going to see the first time or the second time. I need to just spend time in this castle and get lost in it. So, oh my gosh, it was so cool.
Well, that's great, because
That's cool.
that's what a real Harry Potter fan's going to want to go back over and over
Yeah.
just to take
Yeah.
it all in, because I'm sure it's probably all the different conversations going on. It's probably different, all the time. It's always constantly changing, or
They
it's
can
just
update
so
it pretty
vast.
easily.
Yeah.
So
That would be so sweet.
it was just really, really awesome. Recommend
cool.
it. Recommend it.
Cool. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to get our hookah going, because we're about to talk about a guy who enjoys cigarettes and drinking, and at least he did at one point, so...
And we are back.
No time's passed at all, right? We just didn't have a deep conversation on Harry Potter
Or drugs.
or drugs. They're not drugs, Matt. They're psychedelics.
Psychedelic,
There's
you're
a
right.
difference. Plant medicines.
Yeah.
That's what they'll all be eventually.
Yes, absolutely.
Alright. So,
All right.
this is the first Cabin Fever book chat. For the first book was Sean's choosing,
Yes, sir.
and why don't you go ahead and introduce
Yep. Excuse me. For the first book, I chose Stephen King's On Writing, a memoir of the craft. And I initially picked this book because I was listening to a lot of different podcasts and a lot of comedians and other people that are creative types that they just it seemed like a lot of people were recommending this book, and I thought it'd be perfect. I hadn't read it yet. I was planning on reading it. I thought it would be a great book to bring to the podcast, and I thought it would be a good book to kind of dive into, see, get other people's opinions on it, and very interesting book. I thought
Right.
it was pretty cool. It was way different than I thought it would be when I first picked it up. Because it really is. It's half memoir and then half really just him giving his advice on writing. But it was nice to have the memoir part about him. It was good to see where the creativity and the writing and the drive, it came from when he was a younger kid. And it's not like he grew up like a privileged person or anything like that. So it's just really interesting to kind of see his pathway. His path to where he is now, which is just this iconic...
Right.
writer that has all these movies that have been made from his stories and from his novels. It's just it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Really incredible.
I think that was one of the cooler themes I feel like he was really trying to push was that there is no magic going on. There's no crazy circumstances, no super agents pushing his book, that his stories and his life just came from a very authentic place, and the inspiration for his famous stories came from just very inconsequential moments of his life that he was able to, and during the book he just kind of pushes that idea inspiration comes from everywhere and anywhere, and for him it wasn't necessarily a crazy, special,
Yeah.
privileged place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does touch on the fact. I like you mentioned that he doesn't come from a place of privilege. He actually mentions, he single mother, a single parent home, in which he went to school in a really low income area. He talked about that, and it was shocking me to hear him say that, where he would go to, you went to school with kids who had, dirty clothes and unwashed necks and things. I think that was like a quote.
Yep.
And I was thinking about that, and I was like, I don't think I ever noticed that, but maybe, growing up in Ramona, going to school, elementary school kids, you're just kids. You don't think about that kind of stuff. You just want to go to school and play. It's your
definitely
friends.
went to school with kids that maybe had some little... They were the stinky kid in class. He was probably the less privileged kid or something, It's just his parents weren't caring enough to get that kid a bath or whatever. That's...
They were working.
It's out there. Yeah, exactly.
They were working
They're just
parents.
working to make it, and that's... Especially when you're a single parent.
Yeah. There's, no vacation time.
No vacation time.
We would... sometimes go see our grandparent. He lived with his grandmother, this crazy grandmother, for a while, and things like that. But it wasn't ever like they went on vacation to this awesome place, or they weren't going to Europe and eating from this place of privilege.
Yeah.
He just worked really hard and submitted, and he started submitting stories when he was in elementary school.
Oh, very young he started, which I'm like, wow, that's really amazing that he just started so young. He knew that was like a passion. He had creativity was just there in him.
Yeah. It was inspiring the way that I feel like he just took a little idea and just rolled with it and didn't really have an outcome in mind, but just let these kind of characters come to fruition. And I thought that was really fascinating. The prime example, I think, is when he was a janitor and learned what the women's tampon box was.
Yes.
And then got the idea for Carrie as a young woman who would get her period and didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And just put you in that situation, even if obviously you were a guy, of oh wow, that's kind of a terrifying thought. And then just managed to build a whole story around it.
Yeah.
And
and
it, I don't know about you guys, but during the course when I was reading and listening to it, I feel like I definitely during that time was a little bit more aware of what was going on around me, even the subtleties of little things of oh, I guess it's not that hard to build use your imagination and build a character around some just little tiny thing.
Little thing. Yeah.
It definitely got my mind working in that direction.
Yeah, it is interesting to start thinking about that kind of stuff, all those little things that you don't like or that are somewhat gross. I always think of what was the one thing that right after that whole thing. This is but I'm just gonna go there. Went to the bathroom, put the paper down, and the seat was warm. And how see? Okay, so Sean is grinning, yeah, the seat's warm, it's nice, and
no,
gross.
I know
it's
that feeling.
great.
I'm someone was just here, gross. Right. Their essence is still left behind
and they
on the
spent
seat.
long enough here to warm up the
it up.
plastic. It's gross. But then I started thinking, what if there was somebody who actually enjoyed that experience? They actually liked that. What would that person be? You go off that. What other weird things would they like? Would they for a woman, the way the girl that I thought of that liked that, because I was in a women's bathroom, so I put myself in a woman because we have to sit down a lot more than you guys do.
Yeah.
So what if that woman? Okay, what would that woman do? Other things that was kind of weird or bizarre. This woman would probably collect her tampons, kind of thing. She would never throw them away. She would just keep them. It's gross and weird, right?
Right.
But kind of it's a weird psychological thing that you get into. It's that's really gross. I don't really know where to go with that. But that's that character. Her name would be something weird Edwina or something.
Yeah.
Some weird archaic name that was combined with something modern that was just bizarre. But you start noticing weird things like that. Well, okay, so I don't like it when you get a glass and there's a little bit of residue left over. You go to a restaurant and there's a little bit of residue left on the cup or something from the dishwasher. And it's weird things like that, and you just start seeing that, you start going somewhere else in your brain with that. So just branching off that, and he had his idea for Cujo being stuck in a car with the crazy dog. He just had seen some kind of dog attack or something weird like that. I don't remember the specifics, but it was really interesting, like you said, Matt, where you just start looking at things differently as
right.
how can this be a story?
Right.
How could I make this a story?
Right.
So it changes your whole outlook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you can tell it in a way that other people then, you're kind of feeding them that thought. And you're just putting them there right away.
Yeah.
And I guess just overall, I don't know, sometimes when I think, I don't write too much, but when I think about, what if I wrote a book, your mind goes to wow, God, that's going to be so hard. Just
Daunting.
everything involved and daunting in telling
Yeah.
the story. But the way he presents it is just no, it's a big task itself, but it's just made up of these tiny little scenarios that kind of just build on each other, you
Right.
know, and I think he was definitely speaking, especially in the latter part, to people who are convinced you need an agent, you need this, you need that to be a successful writer. And he's probably been asked that so many times in his life. He's just no, I'm going to put down on paper, it's actually not like that. Creativity comes from anywhere and everywhere in your own life. And I thought that was just the coolest part about that.
Yeah.
He really persevered because, he was shot down over and over and over from book publishers and just magazines and, just to try to get his short stories and things like that out there. And he used that as motivation almost. And the critiques that the editors and things like that would give him in his
Or
letters.
not give him.
Yeah, or not give him. He would take that as motivation and it would just build off and make him a better writer. Instead of giving up, I've been, shut down, I'm just going to keep persevering. And okay, so let me just do a quick... Alright, so he's sold more than 350 million copies. That's fucking insane. Out
Yeah.
of... He's made 54 novels, including 7 under a pen name Richard Bachman and 6 under nonfiction. And he's done nearly 200 short stories, and a shit ton of movies have been made from his all his writings. And that's incredible.
Uh-huh.
That's just insane.
Prolific. Yeah.
For someone, just the creative energy that he's just put out there is just immense and amazing. And, not necessarily do I think that the books that he's written are great or anything like that, but his whole body of work is just so immense and amazing that you got to really appreciate him as a writer and a creative force, especially in American literature. It's good to have someone like him pushing it forward and pushing boundaries, because he's much more than just a scary writer. He's got thrillers, he's got everything, he's done it all. It's just to me it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I guess it is, if you just think Stephen King, you do kind of, gravitate toward that, scary,
Yeah, the horror
supernatural
genre.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you remember that he's written Shawshank.
Yes.
Shawshank
Would-
Redemption.
The movie alone is considered one of the greatest really ever.
Yeah.
Well acted, great story,
Yeah.
screenplay, and which was adapted from his book.
Yep.
So phenomenal. And The Green Mile is also...
The Green Mile. That has
Right.
a little bit more of that supernatural feel.
Yeah,
to it.
kind of.
But it also plays with humanity
Yeah,
and
right.
the different aspects of humanity and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I find it just speaking about that, where he got his inspirations and how prolific he was, about how it was. I don't remember the first book he sold where they bought it and they bought it for $900,000 or something like that.
Was, it was one of Carrie or Cujo, one of
think it
those
was Carrie.
earlier ones.
I think it was
Yeah, I think
Carrie.
it was
Yeah.
Carrie.
But he had started writing that in his laundry room.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife was pregnant or
Right,
something
right.
like that, and they were living in this little 2-bedroom, tiny little rick shack, and he was working at some factory,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
or he
Yeah.
was a teacher at the time.
Yep,
he was a
he was
teacher at the
teaching.
time.
Yeah.
But he'd come home, and he talks about that. He's like, I was making a decent living, but actually, now that I think about it, I wasn't. Because all the time I was putting into it, I was not. And he even talks about how there was a time in his life when he didn't. He is when I was a teacher, I wasn't able to really focus on my writing as much as I wanted to. But when he sold his first book, he was able to I remember him saying that, and then looking around his house and being I don't have to live like this anymore. We can actually get a nice place and we can do something with this, and I can be a writer. And it was that moment, and I really liked that. But he does advocate having a place to go to write in which there is no distractions, and his big thing is the door. He mentions that a few times, it was I think it came from one of his first articles when he talks about that when he submitted it, and it was like all this writing. It was very flourished and more than it had to be. And he took it to his editor, and his editor was like, well, here you go. Like, you don't need any of this. Like, let's read it back. And it was like a lot more. It was some review about a basketball star or something
Oh,
in
yeah,
high school.
yeah. Yep.
And his editor was like, you don't need this, this, and this. And he read it back to him, and it just like was a lot more easy to follow. And then he took that to heart, and he even says when he reads that, he's like, I have developed my career around this advice that this one editor gave me at this like low functioning sports newspaper, you know, and this is what I have taken this with me. And he talks about that, and I forget how I was going to connect this together, but he was, but it was something about, because he said, write it with the door closed the first time, and then write it with the door open the second time. And that was what the editor said. And so he took that metaphorical advice into literal translation, and he's been very successful because of that. You know, later on he talks about how he has he had that huge oak desk, and how he never wrote at it.
Right.
He ended up writing somewhere else because it was like, there was just too much weighing on him with this huge desk and this huge thing. And now, you know, in their home now, he has a like attic space, like a loft space, but it's got a couch in it and a TV, and he has a desk in the corner where he can go work. But his kids would come up and hang out with him, and he'd just be working there, and they'd be hanging out with him, you know, things like that. And I always thought that was so interesting because Ernest Hemingway has said that too. Writing in and of itself is such an isolated activity. You can't. It's not to be a writer is to be an introvert. There's no other. You can't get together with a group of writers and write because you're not going to. You have to get into that headspace, that solitary headspace where you're alone with your story, alone with your characters, alone with, and be able to brainstorm and be out there with that. And so I really liked that aspect of it, and just how he was able to translate that to maybe people who are coming to this book with inspiration.
Right.
Like, how did Stephen King do it?
Right.
And he like actually explains like, well, I would grade all these papers and do all this shit and support my family, and then I would also write. I just did it. I didn't set aside time. I just would do it because that's what I do. I write.
Right.
And then how he submitted it and the wonder of that, and that he wasn't above that. You know, that it wasn't like, oh, of course I was going to get published someday. He was like, no, I still had that letter from my first editor that I pinned to the wall that said, we're never going to publish your story, you know? That was so cool. That was so cool.
Yeah, there's a saying, it's fortune favors the brave, but I think it should be fortune favors the free, because when you're free to do what you want, your creativity can just flourish and take off. So that $900,000 made every single book after that, because he was free to just be a creative writer and just dive into every single thing that he wants to write and develop. And as a writer, you need to like know a lot of shit, like especially if you're trying to write about something you have no idea like about the history of something. And there's so many different facets to being a good writer. Like, you have to be a good researcher and a good listener and a good interviewer and all these other things, and just to put down your creative ideas in a good way that people are going to be able to read it and be like, wow, that was just an amazing story. I've learned so much. All these emotions are tied into it. It's amazing that he's been able to do that time and time and time again. And then his advice is so basic, you know, and it's so true, and it can go in so many different levels, not even anything to do with writing. It's just so basic. Just do it in a controlled way, you know. Don't get too crazy. Don't have too many distractions. Close your door and just focus in on that writing or whatever your task is, be it creatively or whatever your main focus is. So I think that I recommend this book to anybody. Please read it. Even if you're not really a big Stephen King fan, which Rachel isn't, she's definitely let us know, which is great, which is totally cool. That's why we have you on. That's why I want to get everyone's opinion, because that's great.
Yeah.
You know?
Did it make you want to create your own writing space? Because that's
I
kept
did.
thinking about.
Hell yeah. That's what that like. Now with my van in mind, like I want to. That's my main focus because I've got all these creative writing ideas that I want to do. I want to create a good, comfortable space, and I want to be able to take my van out to nature and just decompress, cut off. I won't have internet. I won't have anything, and I could just write and focus for maybe a week or two out in nature, and then come back to civilization and figure shit out. And that's kind of what I want to do, and that's. So I'm hoping my van will somewhat be a creative writing space for me. Yeah,
It's not,
because that's really what I want.
Thoreau.
What?
Didn't he do that?
Yeah.
Thoreau?
Yeah. Yes.
He like had the cabin by
Yes,
the river.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he'd like disappeared into nature, but he's done like he did amazing things. Anyway, go. Sorry.
Yeah.
For
No,
like
no,
a
that
year.
was
That'd
it.
be-
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's
for like
awesome.
a year.
Yeah.
He was out there.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
writing, doing nothing, living off the land. That's an experience in itself, though. That's like
absolutely.
it's amazing. Yeah, I think getting disconnected is huge. This is kind of a tangent on
No,
that,
go for
but
it.
I just started watching. Well, I finished watching, but I watched Girls. Adam Driver is in Girls.
Mhm.
He's, if you don't know, he's the Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars trilogy, or the continuation of Star Wars. And he was so hesitant, and like you read trivia up on that, he was so hesitant to begin doing TV because he thought TV was evil, which is interesting in and of itself. But when you start thinking about it, it actually kind of makes sense for a creative person, because it really does. If you can, there's so many great stories out there. It's hard to be like, I'm not going to watch TV anymore, because there's so many nowadays with TV. It's not just sitcoms and nonsense television. There's some stuff that's like thought provoking that gets you thinking about other things, which is fast. You can get a lot of inspiration from TV shows, quality television. I'm not going to say like, you can't get that from Third Rock from the Sun, or
Great
Big-
reference, by the way.
like Big Bang Theory or things like that. You know what I mean? Like, you get it more from watching these intellectual television where you watch the growth of a character and how
Yeah.
they develop as people in their storyline. That's inspiration to me. But watching that, you stop thinking of you get inspiration. That's cool, but then you want to know what happens with the story. So you stop developing your own. You follow this particular character. So I was thinking that getting away from TV, getting unplugged, I think is very instrumental to anybody pursuing any creative aspect in life, whether it's, painting or writing or photography or just spiritual exploration. Getting away from all those commercial influences is vital, because it saps your energy to complete or do. It as you were saying, Matt, it's like it's so overwhelming already to look at a book. You look at like George R.R. Martin and the universe he's created, or Harry Potter, what we talked about earlier, and what they created. If they had stopped and been like, nah, you know what, I gotta watch this TV show.
Right.
Like, sorry,
Yeah.
dude, I can't finish this. Obviously, the passion, the story isn't alive in you the way it should be, but you're also aiding in the murder of that character and the murder of that creativity, because you're not allowing yourself to just live in it.
Mm-hmm.
You open the door to all these distractions and things like that. So I think getting out of that space, disconnecting, getting out into nature, really connecting with yourself as a human in this planet, like on this planet, living with fellow humans, is so important to a creative, like, personality and or success. Like both
Right.
together.
Oh,
To be
yeah.
a creative person, to consider yourself a successful creative person. Because all of us here are creative. Like, we all have aspirations of creating something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just like a stable home life for you or, whoever you choose to spend your life with. It's not like 1950s America where you're like, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to make money. I'm going to bring home the paycheck and make sure that my home, like, I have enough food on the table for my family. Which, if you ever look back on, there's a lot of literature discussing how that actually wasn't the golden era and how miserable people were, because that's when antidepressants became huge,
Right.
because everyone was so depressed because they weren't living their life with creative intent.
Oh yeah.
They were just plugging like, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm doing, but I'm miserable doing it, so I think that's awesome. And Stephen King, to tie this back into the book chat, advocates that. He does. He says, you need to get away from those things. You need to stop those things and really allow yourself to just dive into it and get lost in it.
Right.
So
Yep.
Right. And then on top of that, and like what you're saying, just about George R. R. Martin or whatever, him breaking it down and saying like, oh, I'm just telling like these very human stories in this incredible fantasy
Yes.
backdrop.
Yeah.
But like and then having read like Stephen King's book or like hearing things like that, you can see that even in the show. Like, oh, if you break it down, like, okay, like this is the story of John, this is the story of Sansa, and like, yeah, what's going in our world is incredible, but like you could say that about any character or even in our own lives.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah.
the right perspective and framing, like we are just living out these human lives, responding to these environments, and there is drama and there is happiness and terrifying aspects of it that all come out as a result of the journey. And I just like the way he broke it down like that, because it's so much more attainable, and it kind of like you look around and you're like, oh, there's so much more life here than maybe I was just realized before.
Yeah. I like that. I do. I also really enjoyed how he advocated for the elements of style so strongly. He had like a whole chapter about like, hey, you want to write? That's great. Please learn how to write, like how proper sentence structure.
Yeah.
I like that. I have been, because I want to be a literature major. That's what I want to like study, spend a quality amount of time studying anyway. But just to go on that, like, there's so many people who just can't get it together. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even me, like, the whole parts of speech thing, I learned more about parts of speech by learning a foreign language than I ever did being a native English
absolutely.
speaker.
Absolutely.
And there are so many rules and expectations, and there's, we're all introverts, so I've used the term, I know, with you guys, and I think you guys have used it too, where I'm just going to introvert tonight. There's a specific term for taking the term introvert as an adjective and making it a verb. There's a specific term for that.
Oh,
like,
really?
it actually is a certain certain word, like a part of speech to do that. I'm just going to introvert. Sorry, like, that's not how you use the word introvert traditionally. Like, if you're going to write a formal paper,
Right.
you can't do that. And technically, books should be formal papers with a little bit of colloquial speech thrown in there for your character.
Right.
Like, if you're like if it's like a first person narrative and you're talking about, I did this, you're in the character's head and you're writing it, okay, there's gonna be a lot more colloquial. But if you're writing about somebody from a third person omniscient view, you need to have that formal structure,
Right.
which he advocated also. And I really liked that aspect of it, where he's like, he went crazy, he's like dropping all this stuff. He's like, you can't do that. Like, I don't even know what terms of speech he was dropping at that point, because it was like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
But he drops that, and he's like, if you're not going to do that, that's fine. Just understand what you're doing. Like, pick up the book, read through it, flip through it, and have it on hand with you. And it has, actually, after reading and listening to that book, it has made me, like, dissect what I'm reading. Even, like, my pop, like, science fiction, fantasy novels that I read, they're like 200 pages. They're just easy reads, kind of helps me escape on my lunch breaks kind of thing. After listening to that, it's made me dissect that, like, what I'm reading more in depth. There's a part in the book, I think it's like the same chapter, and he's talking about the adverb after said, when you have a character and it's like, so-and-so, Tommy said hello with a sardonically. If you have to add sardonically after what this person has said, your writing is too weak.
You haven't done the work to describe it. He said don't use adverbs at all, right?
Yeah. As much as you can.
Yeah.
Your writing in the situation in which you put your characters should portray what their tone is.
And he also pointed out how easy that is to do without an incredible amount of adjectives or anything. Like, it can be just structured, straightforward, and you can get, like, great description without having to use, like, crazy flowery vocabulary anyway.
Yeah, I like, the vocabulary. His vocabulary term, when he throws it back to H.P. Lovecraft, which if you've ever listened to an H.P., I mentioned this on one of our recommendations. There was a podcast I was listening to, and it's a Dabblecast, and they will read H.P. Lovecraft every October. and it is hard to follow because it is so descriptive. And he uses that in his book where he's like, this is an excerpt from H.P. Lovecraft, and it's talking about his like centipede people that have tentacles, but he uses like these crazy terms to describe them, very archaic language. And then you have someone who's very direct, and he uses like David Thoreau as an example. And then there's another guy, I don't know, he goes through that, like, there's like a list of like 4 people, and he just reads like 4 little minor excerpts from these different authors, and you're like, okay, well, that definitely portrayed the author's idea and intent without these huge words and this amazing amount of vocabulary.
Yeah, I mean, it would make the reader tired at a certain point, just like, hey, I better look this word up real quick.
Yeah.
Because I am not getting what this dude's
I
trying
don't
to
know
say.
what they're trying to say. I get 1 out of 5 of these words,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I kind of know what they're talking about, but...
I'm going to assume they're going this way, I think.
Could be completely wrong, though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't really know what that word means, you know? No, that was really interesting too. But that's another part of him just like breaking down the whole writing process is like, hey, this isn't actually as scary as you think it is. Like, it doesn't have to be this. You don't have to have the world's best. You don't have to win every Scrabble game. You know, right? Like, you don't have to be a spelling bee champion. Like, you can just write out your idea.
So any, I don't know, final takeaway was, we talked about how inspiring it was. Definitely a book that I would recommend to anyone.
Oh,
who's
absolutely.
not even necessarily interested in the craft, but maybe wants to get behind the scenes of what goes on with this just very human person,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stephen King as an iconic individual that's kind of been in our minds ever since we were little kids, you know. I definitely remember my mom reading Stephen King books, and that's always been around the house and things like that, and watching the movies and stuff. So, I mean, just out of pure interest in an icon that's, like, surpassed most writers' imaginations and what one person can do creatively, dive into his process. It's incredible. Like, he was an alcoholic. He was a chain smoker, like, for a really long time. Like, that's what got him sometimes through writing all these crazy books and just life. Like, he led kind of a shitty life in the beginning, so it's like he had all these demons he had to kind of fight through, but that made him a creative person that was motivated and kept him going. So it's like, just read this book. It's great. Like, it's a little slow maybe in some parts, but just keep going through, and I think anyone who has any creativity or any passions, they'll take something from this book. So I definitely recommend it. So please go out there, and it's even on YouTube. I saw it, like the audio version for free. If you want to sit there, it's 7 hours plus long, but it's there for free. Or just go on Amazon and buy it for like a couple of bucks on for Kindle, or the audio version's out there. So check it out, please.
Yeah.
Final takeaway for me would be, definitely, again, if you're not interested in the craft, just read it, especially if you've heard the name Stephen King, just to kind of get into his head a little bit. Also, one thing I just finally want to mention is that he even mentioned that there were things about his writing that he didn't like. Like, he talked about, like, Mad Rose Matter, and how he didn't like that book. He's like, I wrote that. I don't like it. Like, there's a few books that he wrote, and he's like, I don't like that. I think that should be an inspiration to anybody, that if you write something you're not completely happy with it, that's cool. There's more to your life than just this one story or this one piece that you've been working on. Like, let it go, move on.
Right.
Don't do that. You know that process doesn't work for you, move on. So that's another thing that, like, getting from that book that I just want to advocate, and that he knows that as a creative person. I have a greater respect for him as a person, as a creative person. I don't really like his style per se, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve respect for what he's done.
Absolutely.
And I feel like after reading this that I do have a greater respect for him as an individual in a creative aspect. And also just as a human being, the things that he's triumphed over. That's pretty amazing. So, I also recommend this book as just an insight to maybe broaden your mind a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you,
All
Matt?
right, so what's the next book gonna be?
Matt didn't do a final takeaway.
Oh, sorry.
Here. I have a lot to say. No, you guys put it very succinctly. And I guess, and I keep saying it, but I just felt it was super important that I felt like he did a good job of just humanizing himself, really.
Yeah.
And like this just happened to be the way I see it, and then that's how I went with it. And
Yeah.
he enforces the idea that we all have our own stories within us, and the style or the subject matter can be completely different, but they're there to tell, and anyone is capable of telling that kind of story, and you just kind of gotta sit down and do it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just coming from someone of his stature, just really cool and
Yeah.
motivating.
And when did you write this? Like in the 90s? Like
In the late 90s, like almost
Late 90s?
2000,
90,
yeah.
like 98, 99.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
After his accident,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which they touch on too,
Yep.
or he touches
Yeah.
on a
Yep.
lot, which is cool. Okay, so
So
You good?
excited.
that was great.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
Yeah,
awesome.
no, it was
Great first book chat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Fever.
I'm glad we all made it through. We all did it. So I will choose the next book,
Yeah.
and I have the book right here, so I'll give you guys a little bit of info on it. And yeah, so
Downloading it as we speak. Getting my Kindle app up. All right, bring it.
okay, so
The Game of Thrones of Ice and Fire. George R. R. Martin. Have you heard of him?
there is a television version.
Yeah.
You can just skip to. Okay, so this book is called The Explorers Guild,
Ooh.
Volume 1, A Passage to Shambhala.
Oh.
So I chose this book because I heard about it on a podcast, a Tim Ferriss podcast, and it was actually put together by an actor named Kevin Costner. I'm sure you've all heard of him. It was interesting to me because, let me just give you the description,
Yeah.
okay? The golden age of adventure stories returns with this splendidly designed, action-packed, globe-trotting tale that combines the bravura storytelling of Kipling and the irresistible style of the adventures of Tintin.
Can I get the name? The Explorers Guild?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
I'm working on it.
Okay, so behind the staid public rooms of an old world gentleman's club operates a more mysterious organization, the Explorers Guild, a clandestine group of adventurers who bravely journey to those places in which light gives way to shadow and reason is usurped by myth. The secrets they seek are hidden in mountain ranges and lost in deserts, buried in the ocean floor and lodged deep in polar ice. The aim of the Explorers Guild, to discover the mysteries that lie beyond the boundaries of known world. Set against the backdrop of World War I, with Western civilization on the edge of calamity, the first installment in the Explorers Guild series, A Passage to Shambhala, concerns the Guild's quest to find the golden city of Buddhist myth. The search will take them from the polar north to the Mongolian deserts, through the underground canals of Asia to deep inside the Himalayas, before the fabled city finally divulges its secrets and the globe-spanning journey plays out to its startling conclusion. The Explorers Guild is a rare publishing opportunity, powered by the creative passion of one of the world's true storytelling masters, Kevin Costner. So I picked this one because I feel like it's a throwback to like adventure stories, to like an Indiana Jones type, really story.
Yeah.
Stuff that obviously as a kid I would have been totally enamored with.
Oh, yeah.
But this is sort of like a modern day.
I have a
That's
book
it.
boner right now. That synopsis. I want to
And-
read this book right
and
now.
can I say it's honestly maybe typically out of anything that I would ever really sit down and read. Just because it does go back to that thing that I may have found myself maybe not as interested in anymore.
Yeah.
But the kind of reading about it made me a little excited. And I was like, wow, this sounds like a really cool tale.
I like it.
And I've been wanting to read it, and I feel like we should all read it.
No, that's totally a book that I would definitely be down to read.
Is it is it a
Absolutely.
graphic novel?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it has illustrations and stuff,
That would be really awesome if it did.
but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe find out.
yeah. So it sounds really cool. It reminds me, just the description reminds me of those video games Uncharted,
Ooh,
where they even talk about
Hell yeah.
Shambhala in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So That's what I kind of pictured when I was reading about it.
Yeah, I'm stoked about this, man.
I just
So this is
downloaded
awesome.
it. Okay, so
Hey.
What?
you know that I got this now.
She's
It's
on
like it's
it.
happening
Damn.
now because I'm not going to be the one
She
that's
is
like
ahead of the
puts this
curve.
back for another month.
Yeah.
All right, so what
Yeah.
do we want? What's our goal? Do we want to do 3 weeks, a month? What's good for everybody?
I want to say a month.
When is your
month? Okay.
when is your beer going to be Dunsky's?
Like 2 weeks.
Look at it, even has like the yellowed pages, guys. Check it
Ooh,
out.
That is cool.
I like that.
By John Baird with Kevin Costner and Stephen Meyer, illustrated by Rick Ross.
Ooh.
Cool.
The real Rick Ross?
The real Rick Ross. Oh my god. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, so
illustrated.
there's artwork. Yeah.
How cool!
Yeah.
Oh, this is
So
awesome.
Look
there
at
you
it.
go.
Oh, what?
Oh, that's amazing.
That's
Sweet.
so cool.
Okay, it's even a bonus.
Oh,
So it probably reads pretty easy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is awesome.
Okay, so there we go.
There is a quality in these ancient vistas as they break upon the lone rider in the still hours of peace.
Skeet, skeet, skeet.
No, seriously, like I'm really excited. This is awesome. No offense, Sean, but I'm more excited about this book than I was about
Hey, I'm stoked.
Well, it's a completely
I'm stoked.
different.
Yeah,
It's
I like
it.
It's
a
awesome.
fiction book, and
It's
so we're going a
awesome.
different route.
I like it.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, if you're listening right now, go out there, purchase the book, find it whatever way you can, and watch it. So it's the Explorers Guild, Volume 1. Search it.
Search it. It's actually really awesome. I'm pretty excited.
And then so yeah, hopefully within a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whenever we're all ready to go, we'll do book chat, Volume 2.
We'll keep in contact. Well, yeah. How many volumes are we talking here? Like, is this like a mazillion?
There's-
Yeah, it might be a
There's
multi.
only the one so far.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
So it's a pretty new thing. Like the podcast I heard about it was this year
Okay,
when he came on to talk about it. So
Kevin Costner came on to talk about it.
yeah,
awesome.
so it was like a cool podcast. Go check it out. Tim Ferriss show. He interviews Kevin Costner. First half is all about Kevin Costner and like his crazy, crazy career that he's had.
Right,
He was
yeah.
like an actor I really liked growing up.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was,
me
like,
too.
incredible movies.
Waterworld.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Mad
And
Max
then-
on the water. Bring it. I
And
love
then
it.
in the last half,
Hell yeah.
they
Fuck
bring
those
on
smokers.
yeah, Dennis Hopper, and then they bring on the other author, and they all talk about it. So it's
Nice,
pretty neat.
nice.
That was really cool. Very
All
excited.
right.
Very
So
excited.
yeah, so
Let's see,
we'll do quick recommendations, and
Yeah.
we'll sign on out. This has been a great podcast.
Well, that's been my
awesome.
recommendation. So
That's
you
your
guys
that's
can
your
go.
recommendation.
That's all you're gonna. That's all you're gonna do.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Cheap.
that's all I got.
Cheap.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Rachel, you want to
Oh,
kick it off?
sure. I have been listening nonstop to this album by Sean Beam and Jessica Hoot. Sean Beam is the vocalist from Iron and Wine. Really, again, it's like acoustic and mellow. And I got shanghaied into going to a concert of theirs without knowing who they were, which is
Nice.
an awesome experience. It was up at the Fonda Theater in LA. I say up because I live in San Diego. If you ever get a chance to go to the Fonda, go to the Fonda. It is amazing. It's a really awesome venue, just to put that out there. And then, Sean Beam and Jessica Hoot are their vocals are just really out there. I like it. It's a like, weird little kitschy feel, but I don't know, it's just like otherworldly, I guess I'd say. I really like that. Peaky Blinders. I don't know what else I'm like consuming at this moment. I think that's about it. For me for recommendations.
Those are good.
Nice. I don't know if I've recommended her before, but Melissa Villasenor, we're planning on seeing her in, I think, next week, or the week after.
next,
The week
so.
after next. And, really funny comedian. Follow her on Snapchat. She's Melissa V Comedy, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on Snapchat. She does really funny impressions and all kinds of crazy little characters she does. But really funny comedian. I highly recommend checking her out. And, I think that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish I had more recommendations. That's all I can think of right now off the top of my head. So,
Right on. All right, so we'll see.
thank you so much, Rachel,
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
on the
Thanks for
podcast
having
and
me.
doing the book chat. And
Finally.
And
we're on a good
keep-
roll of a podcast, so hopefully
Yeah.
we can keep this going and just
Yeah,
keep these
it's
shows
awesome.
cranking out and
Yeah.
keep getting better at this and keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah.
Yeah, and then definitely back for the next book chat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or Sean's brew.
Yes.
Sean's brew.
Yeah. We'll
Whatever
definitely be doing
happens
a
first.
brew taste test for
It's not
sure.
at the same time.
Yeah, we can shoot the shit, do all the fun stuff. All right, everybody. Bye.
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 Getting it right.
When you're a boy, you stuck a thumb inside the light, early morning warm. Holy compass ready, you would run into the wild, gathered in its arms, in its arms. When you're in the city, you're a tangled native tongue, another tongue, eating fearful free. Know the wild that wants you, know you're not another pillow on a gun, drifting off to sleep and come home, and come home. Hear your own bones say, heal yourself, hear your own heart moan, love yourself.
When you were a girl, salt was beating down your back, and all the braves were tangled in your hair. Candy for your lips, and for your love, all you were giving was a bruise falling down the stairs.
When you're in the city and it's talking to itself and to itself, stealing what you sing. Know the wild that wants you when the sun is underground, and park police are laughing off your leaves. Hear your own bones say, heal yourself, hear your own heart moan, love yourself, and come home, and come home, and come home, and come home.